Welcome, and thank you for standing by. At this time, all guests will remain in a listen-only mode for the duration of today's conference. At the end of the presentation, we will conduct a question-and-answer session, and if you'd like to ask a question, you may press star, then 1. Today's conference is now being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the conference over to Leslie Gordon. Thank you, ma'am. You may begin.
Hello. Thank you, Karen. Welcome you all for joining us in today's daily telephone briefing on the situation at Kilauea Volcano. My name is Leslie Gordon. I'm with the U.S. Geological Survey. We have 3 spokespeople today on the phone. Each of them will make a short statement, and then, like the operator says, we'll open it up for question and answer. And I will introduce them very briefly right now, and then I will reintroduce them with the correct spelling of their name before they speak. Representing the U.S. Geological Survey Hawaiian Volcano Observatory is Wendy Stovall. John Bravender is with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the National Weather Service. And Jessica Farrakane is a public affairs officer with Hawaii Volcano's National Park. So let's go ahead and say, Wendy, we'll ask you to start. And that's Wendy, the usual spelling. Stovall is S as in Sam, T-O, V as in Victor, A-L-L. And she is with the USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory. Go ahead, Wendy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for calling in today. So since yesterday, we saw an explosion occur from the summit this morning, and it sent a dilute ash plume up to 3,000 feet. And there are continued seismic events that are associated with either rock falling or gas streaming. We're still trying to figure out a correlation between what we're seeing with our eyes and what we're picking up with the monitoring equipment. Also at the summit, there was a map update that we did yesterday to our website that shows Cosmos SkyMed image of the summit, of the changes at the summit. And Mike Poland is on the phone. He can answer questions about that. What we have seen is that the overlook vent has enlarged, and part of the southwest wall of Hollywood Mountain Mall has collapsed, just above where the overlook vent existed. And then if we're moving on down to the lower East Rift Zone, the fissure system, specifically fissures 6, between fissure 6 up to fissure 22, are actively producing fountains, low fountains of lava. The highest one is at fissure 22. It's the most voluminous producer, and the fountain heights there are about 50 meters. Sorry, I'm not converting to feet right now. The dominant direction of flow is downhill to the south, and that is pushing a river of lava, channelized lava flow, into the ocean. And at the ocean entry, we continue to have a laze plume that is being produced and blown downwind. And there are also littoral explosions occurring at the ocean entry, and we're monitoring that situation to see if there's a littoral cone that will possibly be built up at that ocean entry site. The other thing to mention that we've been doing is there's a new feature on our website that we're going to have we have someone with the USGS that's sitting with the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, and they are going to be providing just short updates if there are significant events that occur, and it's a new spot on our website, on the HBO website, just to the right of the map, like right and below the updates for both Kilauea and Mauna Loa. So you can follow along with more information there. We're going to have it it's already as an RSS feed, so we're going to get a link to where you can access the page that has the running stream of the last 24 hours on our 2018 activity page on the website. Other hazards to be concerned of are methane explosions. I was out in the field yesterday, and I experienced 2 methane explosions. It's a very real thing. So getting close to the lava flows is a danger. And the sulfur dioxide gas that's being emitted is in very high concentrations, up to, it's being measured now at 15,000 tons a day, so significantly higher than what was being emitted during just the summit phase, which was like 3,000 to 6,000, and from Pu'u, which was just 200 to 300. So we have drones that are flying in partnership, the USGS and the Office of Aviation Services, the OAS, they're part of DOI, and they're flying to track the flows and also to measure the sulfur dioxide gases. That is what I have for you guys today from our side. Leslie? Leslie, I'm done. You want to move on?
I'm sorry, I had my mute on and I said a whole bunch of things, and I apologize.
No worries.
I said 2 things. One, I was asking whoever is typing to please mute your phone. But more than that, Wendy, I was going to ask you if you could back up again. You mentioned these methane explosions. Could you explain what they are and how they occur?
Sure. A methane explosion occurs when lava flows over a vegetated area, and it burns the vegetation, and the gas, there's a methane gas is produced as a byproduct of the vegetation burning. And the gas can travel in pockets under the ground, and the explosions can occur several feet away from where the lava is flowing. So where I was experiencing these yesterday, I was standing probably 20 feet back from an active flow front, and there was a methane explosion, a minor one that occurred under my feet. We witnessed a site in the same location, and there was a big block. It didn't get thrown very far, but there was a big block that had been dislodged. So these can be extremely violent. They can throw blocks several yards in distance from the source, and they can create a big crater. So people do not want to get too close to these active lava flows when they're in vegetated areas specifically. It's a much different situation than people who used to go out onto the coastal plain and walk right up to lava flows, because those were flowing over old unvegetated areas, or older lava flows that were in unvegetated areas. And there is no risk of a methane explosion as long as there's not vegetation nearby. So just be cautious of that. Does that help to explain it, Leslie?
Yes, thank you very much. I didn't think we had mentioned them before, and let me go ahead and introduce our next speaker. Will be John Bravender. John Bravender is spelled B as in boy, R-A-V as in Victor, E-N-D-A-R. John Bravender is with NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, and with the National Weather Service. So go ahead, John.
Thanks, Leslie. From a weather standpoint, conditions haven't changed very much. We're still in a trade wind pattern, and that will continue through the week. Actually, quite a breezy trade wind pattern, winds from the northeast that will help trying to clear away some of the emissions from the vents, but that could also spread ashfall farther downwind of the summit. And we have been receiving some reports from our people that have a forecaster out looking into this, and he was reporting, sent us back some pictures from the Pahala area of ash that has been falling down there. We have a special weather statement in effect talking about trace amounts of ashfall, and that has been a continual product given the occasional bursts of ash that come out of the summit. So that's one of the items that we continue to monitor. but it looks like this pattern of stable trade wind weather will continue through the week. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Our third and final speaker is Jessica Farrakane. Jessica is the Public Information Officer at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. And Farrakane is F as in Frank, E-R-R-A-C-A-N-E.
Good morning. Thank you, Leslie. I'm also sitting here with Cheryl and Mike. They are deputy PIOs assigned to this, and so you might be hearing from Mike over the weekend. Just my updates are for Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. 2/3 of the park remains closed. The big news is Chain of Craters Road, of course, a lot of media interest in that following yesterday's call. I have a couple smaller updates on that for you. It is moving forward. Right now, there's an agreement undergoing legal review by both NPS and Hawaii Department of Transportation. The state contractors will be deploying ground-penetrating radar to check the condition of the road tomorrow. And thermal imagery testing already has revealed at least one hot spot, but we're hopeful they can work around that and get the road done. The purpose for the road, Chain of Craters Road, is an evacuation route only. And this would connect the Kalapana side community through the national park. It would be the same style of road that we built back in 2014. That road's 22 feet across. It's gravel, 2 lanes, so opposing traffic. What else do I need to tell you about that I didn't tell you yesterday? Once the agreement is signed, it will move quickly, and I think that's all on the road. If anybody has specific questions to that, I can try to answer them after the call. Up in the park, park emergency operations staff are working on fixing the water line damaged by the earthquake May 16th, I believe it was. We are still without water in the park. Up in the park, there are, as USGS pointed out, very elevated SO2 levels, continuing explosions and ashfall coming out of Halima'oma'o crater. It is not a fun or a safe place right now. We have no idea when this phase is going to be over. But just a reminder that tomorrow, Wednesday, we start the new Kahuku unit schedule. So that part of the park will be open Wednesday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we also have park rangers at the Mokupapapa Discovery Center here in downtown Hilo, Tuesday through Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lastly, just a little note about masks. This is day 13 of the closure for Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. If you look at the NPS 2017 economic impact numbers, the impact to the community on lost revenue right now is we're getting into the $6 million range for day 13. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, I can send the 2017 economic impact report via news release to any interested media. I did see some reports that were a little disappointing that it's costing the community $166 million right now because of the park closure. That is incorrect. That $166 million was the economic benefit to local communities for all of 2017. Unfortunately, a couple outlets ran with that number, like that's what it's costing right now with the closure. Two different numbers, and again, I can help with the math if needed, and I have a quick and handy press release to send anybody. That's my update. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Before I open it for questions from everyone, I would like to ask all reporters to please limit yourself to one question at a time. That way we can get more people to ask more questions. And in addition to our three speakers, Wendy Stovall with the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, John Bravender with the National Weather Service, and Jessica Farrakane with the National Park, we also have on the line Michael Poland, who's also a geologist with the U.S. Geological Survey, and he can answer questions as well. So, operator, do you want to open it up for our first question?
Yes, thank you. At this time, once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star, then 1. Our first question comes from Damon Tucker of Big Island Now, so your line is open.
Yes, good afternoon. My question is the lava actually on PTV property right now?
Hi, this is Wendy Stovall, USGS. The lava is on the south side of PGV property. It is being blocked by a berm that is there, a pre-existing berm. It wasn't built as a result of this. We're certainly, there's people out there monitoring where that lava is going very closely. That's one of the directives of the drone group, is to monitor the north side of the lava flow. Okay.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Tom Callis of Hawaii Tribune Herald. So your line is open.
Yeah, regarding PGV, how big is that berm, and is that expected to keep the lava back for any considerable amount of time?
I was out there yesterday, and there hasn't been a significant change in where the lava is since yesterday morning. So I can tell you that not only does the lava have to, it's at the base of the berm, it's touching the base of the berm, but it has to fill in a pretty large gap between where the flow, there's like a ponded area of lava that is issuing breakouts that are, for the most part, flowing to the south. There's some very minor ones that are flowing to the north and filling in that, like a V-shaped, like a valley between the berm and the edge of that ponded feature in the flow field. So there's a lot of lava, a lot of volume of lava left to go. I can't give you an exact amount. When we measured yesterday, there was at least 11 feet for the lava to overtop the berm. But that was, that just was the level between the berm and the top of the lava, and there's still, again, lots of volume to fill in. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. As a reminder, please press star, then 1 if you'd like to ask a question. Our next question comes from Sherry Bracken of Hawaii Public Radio. Ma'am, your line is open.
Hi there. Jessica, you have stressed now several days that Chain of Craters Road would be an evacuation route only. And I'd like you to define that, because the mayor has not ordered mandatory evacuations for Kalapana, but if that area is completely cut off, Chain of Craters Road might be the only way in and out. And if he does not order mandatory evacuations and folks stay, would people be allowed to go up the road to get groceries and such and then come back down, or what? Could you help us with that, please?
Hi, Sherry. Yeah, thank you. I can get further clarification on that after the call, but it's my understanding that it would be, the community would be able to use this as an egress and ingress. But I do need to get clarity from that. I think that's part of what the agreements are between the two agencies right now. I think those are being worked out in those documents.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Alyssa Estrada of CBS News. Ma'am, your line is open.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, is the drone video that's being taken of Fissure 22 going to be made available with the other videos from USGS, or no? Is that just for research?
Hey, this is Wendy Stovall with USGS. We will be making some drone videos available. It takes a while to get them back in from the field and then to process them. The files are very large, so it just takes a little while. It might be like a day turnaround before we can get some of that stuff done. Sorry.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Jim Carlson of the Wall Street Journal. So your line is open.
Yeah, hi. The question for Wendy. Going back to the lava and the berm, is that a natural berm, or is that something that was put up? And is there a continued flow of lava? You mentioned there's a big valley it has to fill, but is there still lava feeding the other side so that it actually could rise? Or is there no new lava coming in?
So I don't know how the berm got there. It's full of vegetation. There's wild sugarcane growing on top of it. And there's trees growing out of it, so it's been there for a while. There are some lava flows. Fissure 6 is producing lava flows. Some of those are going slightly to the north, but again, the dominant direction is south. They're very, very slow moving to the north. I don't have an exact number, but we did not even see any noticeable movement to the north, and I believe the point that we got for the northernmost flow that was coming from Fissure 22, which was feeding that ponded area, had not changed overnight.
Thank you. As a reminder, please press star then 1 if you'd like to ask a question. Our next question comes from Jim Roop of Westwood One News. So your line is open.
Hi, good morning, everyone. One question with really two parts. I apologize. First of all, Wendy, you mentioned the southwest wall of the summit or Halemaumau or the crater itself collapsing. If I got that right, what does that look like? What does that mean for the overall health of the crater or of the volcano? And then what does that look like going forward? And then can you explain what a littoral explosion is?
Oh, yes. I'm going to go with the latter first, and then I'm going to ask for my colleague Mike Pullen to help with the former. This is Wendy Stillwell, USGS. So a littoral explosion is it's an explosion when lava, so like in this case it's a river of lava. We've seen it before where the tube systems that used to flow down from Pu'u down to make ocean entries there just south of that eruption center. So where the lava flows into the ocean, it explodes when it contacts water. And it cools very quickly. The lava flows into the ocean. It cools very quickly. It breaks apart and sends lava fragments flying into the air. And, you know, there are fantastical photos of ocean entries that show this fireworks-like effect, and that's what it looks like. And it can build up a little cone, just like a regular cinder cone, around the area where the lava is flowing into the ocean if these littoral explosions are continuing. A hazard associated with those is that if there are boats on the water, those particles can be thrown pretty far away and they're hot and they could land on vessels that are out in the water. Mike, do you want to talk about the summit?
Sure. So what Wendy was referencing, this is Mike Poland, USGS. Wendy was referencing some satellite radar data that was obtained yesterday. It showed clear views of the summit through weather and the ash plume because radar can penetrate all of those sorts of types of weather conditions. And we can see that the summit eruptive vent that was on the floor of Halemaumau is enlarging, and there is an area of disrupted ground on the east side, on the east rim of Halemaumau, that suggests that part of the rim may be destabilizing. It's the area of the rim that's immediately adjacent to the summit eruptive vent. So it looks like we may be seeing the development of a pit crater or an enlargement of the existing pit crater within Halemaumau.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Audrey McAvoy of the Associated Press. Ma'am, your line is open.
Thank you. I was wondering if the increased sulfur dioxide emissions had led to higher levels of fog, and if I don't know if that's something maybe for the National Weather Service or if that's something the USGS could address.
Hi, this is Wendy Stillwell, USGS. I think I will lean a little bit on National Weather Service for this, but I can say that because of these very high outputs of sulfur dioxide, it's certainly causing there to be more fog. I'm not sure of the directions that it's going, so that might be something that NPS can address. Or, sorry, NWS.
Sure thing, Wendy. Yes, just the short answer, yes. The more emissions there are, the more VOG we'll have. And as it was mentioned earlier, the SO2 emissions rates are much higher than we've been seeing in recent times, which will lead to more VOG. Thankfully, with the trade winds that we have, it is taking it mostly offshore. We still have the areas of the Big Island from down through Pu'u District and around to wrapping around even to the Kona side that usually experience VOG during trade winds. They'll still see it. I haven't heard whether conditions have been worse there or not, so I'm not sure if there's a direct correlation downstream, but we would expect conditions to be worse as so much gas continues to be emitted.
Thank you. As a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star then 1. Our next question comes from Kevin Deaton of Honolulu Star Advertiser. So your line is open.
Thank you. And I apologize if this has been answered. I got on the call a little bit late, but I'm interested in the measurement of sulfur dioxide and the volume. Have we ever seen that sort of volume? And could you please put a number on it to the extent that you can? And are you also talking about sulfur dioxide along the entire East Rift Zone and the summit, or just some portion of that?
Hi, this is Wendy Stovall, USGS. It's the number that I have is 15,000 tons a day, and even from the summit eruption that occurred and from the Pu'u eruption, neither one of those ever produced such high numbers of sulfur dioxide. I can't say whether this is unprecedented for perhaps the opening phases of Pu'u or from Mauna Ulu, or even from Mauna Loa. But it is a very high number, and the reason why it is so high is because there is a lot of magma coming close to the surface. And when magma gets close to the surface, one of the last gases to come out, other than water, is a sulfur dioxide gas. So that's why we're seeing such high concentrations. Also, I just wanted to bring up one more thing about the summit. Mike wanted to mention something about the imagery that we have.
Yeah, this is Mike Poland, USGS again. I neglected to mention that those radar images showing the summit changes are available on the HVO website under the Maps section for Kilauea for May 21st. It's as an animated GIF, so you can actually see the changes that are occurring at the summit. Thank you.
Operator, do we have very many calls in the queue left? Or maybe questions, I meant?
Yes, ma'am, we do have 4 questions in queue.
Why don't we go ahead and take those 4 and no more after that, please?
Thank you. Our next question comes from David Tucker of Big Island Now, so your line is open.
Yes, I have a question about the chain of crater roads. You mentioned that there's a hot spot on chain of crater roads. Does that mean 61 flow G is still in existence? 61 flow G was reported to be out. Why is there a hot spot reported on chain of crater roads?
This is Jessica from Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. From my understanding, the lava can still be hot and producing heat, even though it's technically cooled. But I'll defer to USGS if they're able to add any scientific statements to that.
This is Wendy Stovall. I do not know about the hotspot on Chain of Craters Road, so I can't speak to that. But it is true that it takes a while for lava to completely cool after it has been in place. I'm not sure of the thickness or the timing since the last flow went across that area, so I can't really speak to it specifically. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Tom Callis of Hawaii Tribune Herald. Your line is open.
Hi, Wendy. Could you repeat the SO2 levels for the summit? And I believe you mentioned Pu'u. Is that current levels or past levels?
Hi, this is Wendy Stovall, USGS. So past levels for Pu'u were about
and Mike Poland, please correct me if you remember if I'm wrong on this, but I got these numbers from earlier this morning. I just don't have exact dates. Was 200 to 300 tons per day, and there is no sulfur dioxide coming out of Pu'u right now. So that was during recent eruptive times. And then from the summit, the average was 3,000 to 6,000 tons per day, and that was when there was the active lava lake in the summit. There is, as far as I know, I'm not sure what gases are coming out, but the sulfur gases that are coming out there are different types. There's hydrogen sulfide that's also coming out from that now, and I don't know what the exact counts of the SO2 from the summit are. But from the lower East Rift Zone, the eruptions that are occurring along the fissures, that's producing 15,000 tons per day.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Audrey McAvoy of the Associated Press. Maybe your line is open. Once again, Audrey McAvoy, your line is now open. Please check your mute function.
Sorry, I had been muted. Sorry about that. On the sulfur dioxide in the lower East Rift Zone producing 15,000 tons per day, when did it start producing 15,000 tons per day? Did that start over the weekend, this past weekend, or has it been producing that much for a longer period during this eruption?
Hey, Audrey, this is Wendy. If you can hold that thought, I'm going to ask really quick and see if I can get an answer for you. But I don't have the exact answer to your question. So if we can get the final question, and then I can come back and answer that one, if I can get it, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our final question comes from Andrew Hay of Reuters. So your line is open.
Hi, this is a question for Wendy. I wondered if you could just explain in layman's terms why lava inundating one of these geothermal wells at the PGV plant would cause an uncontrollable release of gas, and would it be any worse than anything else we're seeing in the Rift Zone if such an uncontrollable release of gas were to occur?
Hi, Wendy Stovall, USGS. I actually can't speak at all about the hazards at PGV. That would be something that you would need to ask the PGV themselves or the Hawaii County Civil Defense. I haven't been briefed specifically on what those hazards are. I'm getting the number for the tons per day. It's just taking a couple minutes. Okay, the measure of 15,000 tons per day was made a couple of days ago. The higher emission rates corresponded with the more voluminous lava flows. So when things shifted a few days ago and we saw the channelized rivers of lava being sent down to the coast, the sulfur dioxide emission rate went up in tandem with the lava emission rate. That's it, Leslie.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Wendy and John and Jessica and Mike. I really appreciate your preparedness and being able to answer all those questions. I want to thank all of the reporters and other news media representatives that are on the call. I appreciate you calling in. Don't forget that we're going to do this telephone briefing every day at the same time, 11 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. The call-in phone number and participant code remain the same. I also want to remind you that if you've missed a day and you haven't heard the briefing, we are recording all of these, just an audio recording, and they're all posted online. There is a link at the top of the media advisory that we're sending out every day. If for some strange reason you're not getting those media advisories, please write to volcanomedia@usgs.gov and ask that you be added to the distribution list. That's it. We'll call it an end, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Daryl, I know you've gone through this already, but maybe you could just take us through. You're watching lava at your house. Tell us what happened.
From the point of the injury or before?
Well, maybe you could just take us back a little bit before, leading up to it.
Okay, I started out on Mother's Day being awoken by a jet engine noise off the lanai about 200 yards on the other side of the road I live on. So I walked out on the lanai and saw the vapors from the jet coming out of the ground, then eventually steam, and then initial eruption with the flames and rocks flying. And then so from that point on, the fissure or vent, which was called number 17, started progressing downward and a little ways uphill from where I live along the side of the road. And it was somewhat like a propane tube that had jets with flames would come out of each one, the vents, and then it was capped off at the end. And then sometimes that end port would blow out and vapors and rocks and mushroom clouds would fly out of that. And then so from that point up until this happened, myself and various other people stayed around the site to keep the house from burning down, because these vents were launching lava bombs all over the area, and several of them were hitting the rooftop, getting in between the sheet metal and the ceiling and the purlins and setting the house on fire. So we were putting those fires out as they happened, and mostly it was a big event, front row seats to view lava for several people who all helped out. I wasn't the only one here doing this. One night the SO2 got so heavy that everyone had to leave. We had a fire at the Johanna house, went down there and put it out, and on my way back, from the handrail of the lanai, and it hit me as I was talking on the phone in my ankle, snapped my leg in half to where my ankle and foot and my leg were a hinge. And so it knocked me down onto the couch, which caught on fire from the flaming rock. I jumped off onto the floor trying to hold my leg together. My friend was on the roof next to me, and I said, "We got to get out of here. We got to get out of here." She grabbed me by my right leg, drug me down 5 flights of stairs to the ground. Got her truck, called 911, and drove us back toward the emergency vehicles, and they met us halfway. The fire department initially helped me get out of the car. The ambulance came, put me in the ambulance, try to stabilize things as good as possible, and brought me here, and so they've been taking care of me ever since.
I want to backtrack just before the injury.
Okay.
Because you just gave us a little taste of it. As a spectator, how spectacular was it to have that front row seat?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, it was just an event of a lifetime. Every aspect of the lava was there, the sounds, the sights, the flowing lava, the fissures, it was all happening at one time. There were several people that had access were coming over and watching it from that point.
Kind of a party.
It was, yeah, it was fun.
Who else was there when it happened?
Just my friend. She's my friend now. Is actually my ex-wife, but she's my friend now. We become friends.
We understand.
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
So, now I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned that the lava bombs had hit your house, it would catch on fire. Obviously, you'd seen them, and they were bombarding your house, so to speak. Talk about your thoughts of your own safety concerns you might have had because you were so close.
Well, we all have been around this activity before, and so we're not unaccustomed to it. We know how lava, to some degree, how slow it moves, right? You can crawl away so there's no real fear of the lava. The projectiles, there's a fear, but when you hear, they don't just happen. There's an explosion and then they happen. So when you hear an explosion, you're looking up, and they're typically way up there, and they're flying. So the wind, usually they're heavy, and then they get lighter as they fizzle out, and the wind will catch them, much like a golf ball. It'll push it away. And then a lot of times they'll hit the ground, but it's like catching a football or a baseball when you're on the run. You know how you got to kind of watch it, and instead of catching it, you don't catch it. You let it fall away from you.
Howard knows about that.
Yes, right.
And then there's all kinds of places that you can hide and get away from it too. So it wasn't as brave or whatever you might think.
You know, what does it feel like to be hit by lava? Was it solid, liquid, or?
It was the most forceful impact I've ever had on my body in my life. I've been hit by big waves and various things. That was just incredibly powerful and hot. It burnt too. Yeah.
More of a solid or a liquid feel?
It was a solid, yeah. A hot solid.
And I gather, was there a lot of pain, or were you in shock at that point?
It was super painful, and I don't know if I was in shock. I just knew I just think about my daughters, and I knew I was up on that roof, and I was in really bad shape. I mean, my leg was in half, my bone was sticking out, there was blood squirting out. I knew that I had to get out of there, and if I couldn't pass out, we just had to get out of there.
Did anyone apply first aid directly to you on the
Yeah, she, my friend, she got a sheet and pulled it as tight as she could, and then we had this old wet sheet that her dog had been sleeping on, and so we wrapped that around this, and that's what I held my shoe and my ankle together with my leg. Well, as we're coming down the stairs, each tread I'd hit, my foot it was really weird, really strange.
Today you're wiggling your toes though, aren't you?
They wiggle, yeah. The doctors did an amazing job. I can't believe they could put it back together. I just wanted to live. I didn't care if they cut my leg off down there or not. And I just can't believe that's there. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on the future of Pu'u, or you living in Pu'u?
I think that area will be safe for quite some time now, so we're going to stay. The traffic there won't be hardly any traffic anymore because there are no roads to drive on.
The area was under evacuation order. Why were you there again?
Like I said, the houses there are on a hill, and so we're safe right there. There was really no reason to go. I mean, to me, like things happen every day to people, just in an instant. So it's just an event that was super spectacular that the news wants to cover, and it happened to me. That's all it is. You could get hurt bad just any time.
Based on this happening to you, your recommendation or advice for anybody else who's down there that maybe shouldn't be?
Yeah, if you're not just like anything else, like if you're leery of going surfing in certain conditions or anything else, don't tempt fate. Just be safe. Yeah. But if you feel comfortable and you're aware and you're capable, by all means, it's fun. Yeah.
And I want to ask you a question.
Thrill of a lifetime.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
When I ask you the question that I asked you before, I noticed your TV's off. You're not watching any of this lava coverage.
No.
You had enough?
I'm good on the lava, yeah.
You mentioned that you were there trying to make sure that your house was okay because of the lava bombs and because of everything that was going on there. After you left, have you heard how your house is doing?
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, my neighbor's right there. He was as helpful as I was in protecting everything. It seemed like I'm getting all this credit for things, but he was right there the whole time. So, and my friend too, she was there the whole time. Lots of people helped out. The media was there a few times, helped put some fires out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned your daughters. You said you were thinking about them when that happened. Obviously, they've seen you since then, and they know that you're okay. What were you thinking? What was the the message that you may have said to them after you got through this and they saw you? They worried about you and.
No, they're actually they've been going out in places I don't want them to go. So I think they're scaring me more than I'm scaring them, actually.
Are you going to require any more surgeries?
I'm going to get this cleaned out and then one more time, and then a flap put over the. I guess there's a lot of tissue's been taken away from the fire and the stuff that couldn't be saved.
But are you told you should be able to walk?
Yeah, like 6 weeks, stay off of it, and then gradual. You know how it goes. You just get an injury, you gotta gradually progress and
go start catching those footballs again.
Yeah.
So when they wheeled you to the hospital, and you had seen how bad your leg was, and like you said, it flipped in half.
Yeah.
So when they put you in and you went in for surgery, did you think when you came out that you wouldn't have a foot?
No, actually, the doctor, I don't know if I can say his name, I'll just call him the doctor, but really top-notch guy, made me real confident that the first night that when I went in that he was going to fix it all up. Two of the doctors showed up, and they give me a lot of confidence.
Have you been in pain? No?
Nope. Not anymore. Yeah, the staff here has done a tremendous job in helping me out. Smiling faces and lots of care.
All right. And then just for clarification, so they brought you into the emergency room and they just took care of your foot, made sure that you were okay, and then the next day they went in and did the surgery to make sure everything was still attached.
The first night they put the titanium rod and the nails and screws in, and then cleaned it. Second day cleaned, because there was a lot of lava rock left in there, and you can't get it all out at one time. I think there's a certain limitation to how long you could be under anesthesia, and so there's a point where you just can't do anymore. So
this huge event is going on, global headlines, unbelievable, spectacular images, and you're that one guy.
I know.
What a trip.
What a trip, yeah. Is this even happening? Is this a bad dream? Yeah.
Well, everybody knows you now.
Oh, boy. All right.
You're the most famous Clinton now.
Wow. Take some of the pressure off of Hillary.
All right. Well, appreciate you talking with us.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep. All right, man.
Thank you for your time.
Right on.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Daryl, what did...
How's everybody doing today on this Tuesday? I'm here on Kaupili Street, where we over from the beginning of our expedition on the beginning of how this eruption started. So we were here when it all started with all the cracks, but you know, Kaupili Street still active. Lava was about 100 yards away just a couple days ago, and now it moved 100 yards up the street. So it's kind of close to where it was, but look at all the lava coming in. So it's kind of going up towards Kahukai. So the lava is actually still active right now. So we are here with what, you know, let's go kind of get an explanation, but this is the place one of my cousin's properties are at, and it's just up the road. And you know, a couple days ago we thought that this lava flow was actually stalled out, and there was no lava coming on this street, so it was inactive. But right now started to get reactivated, and looks like the lava is actually moving down the street. So with that being said, anybody on Kaupili Street on the Kahukai side, you know, come and check on your homes. This one has crossed over one of the neighbors' driveways. But so we have here our friend Philip. So we've been coming across these cracks, and this is one of the smaller cracks that is happening. But this road has looked like it's been buckled pretty bad. But so we're gonna have an explanation from Philip on these cracks. All right, Philip.
All right. So, well, we're having a bunch of cracking and spreading happening, as everyone's been seeing pictures that are being released. It's happening as the magma is moving through here in that area, kind of parallel to these fissures, so all the way through the rift zone. And there's so much of it that is bulging the earth upwards over top of it, and the earth on top is kind of spreading out, and it basically cracks, and this crack spread apart to accommodate that bulging that's happening. So the more magma comes in, the more cracks appear, the farther they spread apart, and that's a good sign the magma is still coming in.
This crack is on a smaller size scale, but it's still, you know, devastating to the area here. But as we can see, you know, look like the Kahukai side of this crack is higher than the Malama side of the crack. And what could that be, Phil?
Well, so as the chunks on top spread apart, then they naturally can sag in a little bit, especially at the surface. But there could be movement, you know, like this. There's a crack on this side, there's a crack at the fissure over there, and all the way down, these cracks connect at some point to the rift zone. So we have like a below, and it can kind of move and wiggle a little bit as well.
So this is what's happening on Kaupili Street. So Kaupili Street, lava is still being reactivated. Here, tons of lava that is coming this way. Can you tell us anything about like reactivating? And so a couple days ago, this flow was kind of stagnant, kind of stalled out, but it looks like there's actual magma coming back into the system, this area.
The first flows that we saw in this area were the stickier lava, and it was kind of exploding almost like fireworks, and putting out outflows, right? Small outflows. That's right. Okay. And since then, we're seeing a switch to this hotter, more fluid lava that's Pahoihoi. So it's just like we saw the fissures all the way 2022, the biggest ones that are active now, putting out most of the lava from Pu'u. The lava from Pu'u is also coming out of these cracks, and that's what's creating a much larger situation here today, is because now we have much more fluid lava that can move a lot faster, right? Just like we saw in the last few days, lava flow all the way down to the ocean. So
yeah,
it's not good for the houses that have survived this far, unfortunately.
So, you know, that's what's happening now. Obviously, we can hear some, you know, eruptions downrift, and also, you know, another explanation. You know, we're gonna go over that later on tonight about, you know, the East Rift Zone and how wide the East Rift Zone and still unstable. So the fissure line that we've been following can also extend outward from half-mile away from the fissure line that is pretty much right now. But we'll talk about that later on tonight. But to other people on Kaupili Street on the Kahukai side, this is what's happening. New flows have been reactivated and started to flow up the road. So, you know, a couple of my friends here, Brother Neil, his home is in the back, and he came, you know, a couple days ago to check on his home, and it was still, you know, like I said, the flows that was here from eruption 8 or fissure 8, I mean fissure 3 had stopped and stalled, and but looked like this afternoon pretty much, you know, it got reactivated, and now there's flows that is kind of pushing this way. So we have a lot of methane that's pretty, you know, you can hear it popping in the back. Oh, that's some methane right there. Methane, huh?
I believe so, yeah. Methane and gases from the asphalt burning as well.
Yeah, so everybody, so that's what's happening now. We'll be checking in probably like half an hour on some of the recent events that is happening in Leilani, but you know, so that's what's happening. So there's still lava that is entering the tube system from Halimau and is still making its way down to Leilani and Lanipuna area.
Through the rift zone, yeah. One thing that's kind of been one of the things that geologists differentiate is between magma moving through these fissures underground and then making lava tubes at the surface. So at the surface, when a lava flow freezes on top and makes that shell for itself, that's a lava tube. Underground, where the magma is flowing from Halimau to Pu'u all the way to here, we call it through the rift zone, half-mile down and deeper.
Okay. So, yep. This is Kaupili Street. Went to check on this street. So, with that being said, check you guys out later. Hello, everybody, and stay classy.
Una.